This is really frustrating. As soon as I set sail, there's no wind. Yeah, it's pretty bad. I'm getting really angry because when I was repairing the boat or whenever I had to do something on it, there was wind. And I couldn't work because there was so much wind. And at last, when I have everything ready, it's just, look at this. It all began with a motorcycle journey. But the most amazing experiences I had were while sitting on a bamboo deck of a raft on the Pacific Ocean. I never imagined this vast expansion of water, which was unpredictable and unforgiving at times, would change my outlook on life forever. The vivid memories of that incredible journey now takes me back to Aditha, the small jungle village, in search of that raft that I left there 4 years ago.
I have mixed feelings. On one hand, excited to see the people that I met there, and on the other hand, I'm pretty anxious.
You think it's still there?
I don't know.
Four hours after leaving Panama border post, we officially enter Colombia. And then you have to backtrack a few more kilometers to reach Aditha.
How you feel being here?
Strange.
Hola, Bajim. ¿Me recuerdas?
Bien, bien, me acuerdo. Sí, estuvo por aquí.
Una moto.
¡Ah!
¿Usted? Sí.
El señor que Santiago. Ay, vea, Joaquín, usted está viendo cuántos años tiene.
Poco de años.
4 años.
Ya tiene 4 años.
4 años.
Ah.
Sí.
It feels a bit like coming home. Even Silvestre, the dog, recognizes me straight away. The village hasn't changed much. The same old wooden houses stand on stilts, looking towards the Pacific Ocean, while the villagers carry on with their lives unconcerned about anything. The one change I noticed straight away is the raft that I left here 4 years ago, it's no longer there. It would be so wonderful to see it once again. But my hopes were shattered by what I heard from the villagers. Apparently, about 2 years ago, my raft had broken into pieces, and nobody knew where to find its remains. I am deeply saddened by the news about the raft. But disappointments are a part of life. It is also part of human nature, not wanting to let go of things. With the ocean on one side and the Darien jungle on the other, Aditha is effectively an island. Not even a footpath connects it with the rest of the world. 4 years ago, there were 15 families living here. It is wonderful to see all these people once again. But I crave to find out more about what exactly happened to my raft. And then one of the young men of the village tells me that he might be able to help me. That is the best news I heard since my arrival here. So we went looking for the raft the next morning. However, I am deeply puzzled when they lead me through the undergrowth into the jungle. Probably you must be even more puzzled as to how a man who was on a motorcycle journey ended up in such a remote jungle village without roads. Well, I have to take you back in time to give you the answer. I was born and grew up on the beautiful island of Sri Lanka. By the year 2010, I had been living in Switzerland for more than a decade. The dream of traveling the world on a motorcycle had been in my mind since I was a small child. But what finally made me leave Switzerland with my motorcycle was the idea of self-discovery. I had been going through a rough patch in my life for a number of years. I did not know how to regain my happiness and what the purpose of life was. So off I went to discover the world and to rediscover myself. I didn't travel with road maps. I didn't read guidebooks. I sometimes decided the direction of travel with a toss of a coin. In the beginning of 2011, my bike broke down in India at Hampi, and I was stuck there for a few days.
Hampi ist eine kleine Ortschaft in Indien und vor allem bekannt für seine wunderschönen Tempelanlagen. Vor so einem Tempel habe ich dann Dylan auch das erste Mal getroffen und er sagt heute noch zu mir, dass ich da sehr arrogant reagiert habe, weil ich nicht mit ihm sprechen wollte in dem Moment. Wir haben dann trotzdem an diesem ersten Tag zum Glück noch zusammen angefangen zu sprechen und umso mehr, dass ich von diesem Mann erfuhr, umso faszinierter war ich und habe mich dann wirklich an diesem ersten Tag in ihn verliebt. Als wir uns nach ein paar Tagen trennten, dann war es für mich völlig klar, ich will diesen Mensch wieder sehen, weil ich so in mir das Gefühl hatte, das ist der Mann, mit dem ich mein Leben verbringen will. Und für Dylan war es ganz anders. Es war mehr so, ja, es ist schön, wenn wir uns wiedersehen, aber wir wissen nicht, was passiert.
Traveling around the world without plans offered many opportunities and time to ponder about life. It took me little more than a year and a half to reach the other side of the world. I spent 5 months traveling around Australia and then shipped Bruce, my motorcycle, to Canada. There I met Greg. He told me about the Darien Gap and that I should look into finding a boat well in advance to go from Panama to Colombia. First I thought he was joking. All I knew was the Pan American Highway, the longest continuous road in the world, which starts in Alaska, goes all the way down to Argentina. But the reality is, the Pan American Highway ends in Panama in a small town called Yaviza. Any traveling further south of Yaviza can only be done on a river. But unfortunately, even this boat ride ends somewhere in the middle of the Darien jungle. The roads that for thousands of kilometers lead from Alaska ends in Yaviza because of an impenetrable jungle. There are no ferries operating between Panama and Colombia. If you wish to travel between the two countries with a motorcycle, like this traveler, you need to get to Colón and find a boat captain to take you on a 500-kilometer journey across the Caribbean Sea. When I heard all this in Canada, my ever-growing adventure spirit started fireworks in my head. As I rode south, my mind never rested from thinking about how to cross the Darien Gap.
Well, here we go again. Brucey's laying down. It's like an old donkey, you know?
I had a crash.
Everything is frozen.
Broken down again, and this time got a puncture.
Being on the road for nearly 3 years, facing challenges on a daily basis, made me learn a lot about life. It was in those tough moments I learned how important it is to believe in yourself, to be optimistic, and to smile.
I'm very tired. I'm really tired. I've been riding now like 80 kilometers today, 95% of the time first gear. And the conditions are pretty much like this. Look at this.
This journey around the world had never been about visiting tourist attractions. In fact, most of the time, I didn't even know names of the places until I arrived there. I was enjoying discovering the world and myself my own way, at my own pace.
Hey boy, you have to go. That's my bag. I'm broken down in a God-forsaken place.
I noticed that being outside my comfort zone made me feel alive as never before. So I saw the Darien Gap as an opportunity to experience something entirely new. Rather than being a passenger on a boat, I wanted to bypass the Darien jungle on a self-built raft, which is driven by my motorcycle. So I started planning, organizing parts, and working on the raft project as I continued my journey south.
Als ich ihn in San Francisco besucht habe, hat er mir das erste Mal von dieser Floß-Geschichte erzählt und hatte auch bereits Motorradteile gekauft, um diese zu modifizieren für das Floß. Und dann habe ich schon so gedacht, oh mein Gott, was ist das für eine verrückte Idee? Why you want to make a raft out of your bike?
I'm going to ride down the Amazon River with my bike.
Er hat mir tatsächlich zu Beginn erzählt, dass er mit diesem Motorradfloß den Amazonas runterfahren will. Und offenbar nicht nur mir, sondern er hat dies allen so erzählt, weil er genau wusste, dass die Menschen ganz anders reagieren werden, wenn er sagt, er wird damit über das Meer fahren, weil der Ozean ist einfach noch einmal ein ganz anderes Risiko.
I met people randomly who helped modify motorcycle parts to propel the raft, like these Mexican mechanics, who showed tremendous empathy for my adventure. Not only did they have fun working on my project, they even refused to accept money from me for their labor.
Ich habe dann mit der Zeit gemerkt, wie wichtig ihm dieses Floßabenteuer war. Es hatte wirklich nur noch das Platz in seinem Kopf. Also ich glaube, man kann sagen, er war wie besessen von dieser Idee. Und ja, wir haben dann auch Zeit zusammen verbracht und da konzentriert er sich immer nur auf dieses Floß und nicht auf uns. Und das hat mich dann auch genervt, so sehr, dass ich ihn am letzten Abend, ich glaube es war um Mitternacht, aus dem Hotelzimmer geschmissen habe. Wirklich so, hey, wenn du dich jetzt an diesem letzten Abend nicht auf uns konzentrieren kannst, dann geh doch einfach jetzt schon.
I understood the anger and the frustration of Martina because of my lazy approach to our friendship. But only when I was back on the road, I realized how important she had become in my life. However, I was happy about one thing as she threw me out of the hotel room that night. At least, it wasn't raining. After arriving in Panama, I met a few experienced sailors who helped me in various ways. Among many other things, they found a workshop where I could begin with the construction of the raft. And Shark not only became my mentor, he also offered me accommodation on his sailboat.
I was born into sailing. My parents started living on a boat when I was 2 years old. And I've been on the ocean all my life. That's more or less the only life I know. And I just can't cope on land, especially not in a city. So that on the ocean, there's nobody to tell you what to do, and you don't have to abide by so many social rules. You do whatever you want, but you also are 100% person responsible of whatever you do. Consequences are all yours. Started to hear about the crazy story. Couldn't really believe it was going to happen because technically quite difficult, and especially when you see that the person that doesn't know what the ocean is. Technically, he knew what he was speaking about. The structure of the raft and the mechanics of it were sound, but it's much more difficult than most people think. So usually people they start and give up really fast when they meet the first difficulties. What's really dangerous in a storm is the waves. They can be very violent. That's also why we advise him to make the trip on the Pacific side and not on the Caribbean side, because on the Caribbean side you're doing the normal route between San Blas Islands and Cartagena. Most of the time have very strong wind against you, and with a raft like that it wouldn't have been possible to go against strong winds and strong waves.
But the route which he recommended across the Pacific wasn't without pitfalls.
This place was dangerous because of the guerrilla and narco-traffickers and all that, and because there's no roads, there's no developed places, so you can't get supply, and nobody sails along that coast. We knew the general conditions of weather current in the Gulf of Panama, but we had no idea about where he could stop and what kind of towns or villages bays he would encounter.
So I had the choice between getting shipwrecked on the Caribbean Sea or to get into trouble with criminals on the Pacific. Unlike with the Mother Nature, having a dialogue with criminals isn't impossible. I decided for the Pacific. So I transported the parts of the raft to the Pacific end of the Panama Canal, where I could easily launch the raft after building it. Now and then, Shark came to lend me a hand. When the work was done, we carried the raft to the dry canal bed at low tide and waited for high tide to return. I was extremely nervous that day. Mathematically, I knew that things should work out as planned. But I also knew maths and life don't always work the way you'd like them to.
For us, the boat is not just an object. It has a life, and then you climb on board, start the engine, and then it goes. And, very funny to go down the Panama Canal with all these big modern cargo ship and see the look, the face of the people. What is that?
We steered the raft along the Panama Canal to the open sea, tied it to Shark's boat, and then did the rest of the work in the following days. One day, Shark took a pencil and a piece of paper and sketched something. He said he would build a sail for my raft so that I could save on fuel. When I told him that I couldn't pay for a sail, he replied with a mischievous smile that it would be a gift from him. On that same evening, he disappeared into the darkness in his dinghy. An hour later, when he came back, he had a sail in his hands, and immediately I knew that there must be a sailboat close by with its sail gone missing.
Kind of Robin Hood piracy. Mostly take things from abandoned boats. There's so many boats that are sitting for years just getting rotten and that are full of parts that can be used by people that have more dreams than money. And it's a good way of recycling.
I wasn't unhappy about the unexpected gift of a sail, even though rigging a mast was not a straightforward business. I decided to dedicate my raft to a courageous woman. My father was killed by a robber when I was just 6 years old. From there on, my mother had put up a lone fight to give the best possible future for 4 little boys growing up in Sri Lanka. I thought, when I am about to do the most outrageous thing in my life, there is no better companion to have by my side than my mother Bridget.
In my opinion, his mistake was to be such in a hurry to go and not take the time to really try the raft, learn how to handle it, and then correct some things. But that's a choice you make, and you live with the consequences.
My concern was the fast approaching rainy season. Only a couple of days prior to my departure, I heard the news that 7 big ships had been blown ashore by a storm in Cologne, which was only 80 kilometers away. So I made the decision to leave fast. It was a very special time in my life. The tough and hardened people I met in Panama were genuinely caring, and they helped me beyond my expectations. And not only that, they had opened up their hearts and treated me as an old friend. It was more. The spirit of adventure bonded us into one family. As I enjoyed watching the city lights for the last time from the deck of Shark's boat, I knew that I would greatly miss these wonderful people. But once again, as I had done on so many occasions in this journey, it was my time to say goodbye. The Panamanian authorities considered it as an illegal journey and refused to give an exit stamp on my passport. So the best thing I could do was to take a quick exit in the dark and make it out of Panama before anyone noticed. The worst thing was, I knew nothing about sailing and had never been on the ocean before. Learning to sail is one thing, but learning to sail in the dark, all by yourself, was little challenging. After 2 whole days, I was very relieved to see land again. I was also very nervous, not knowing the dangers that could be lurking beneath the surface of this shallow water. Las Perlas, or the Pearl Islands archipelago, lies 70 kilometers south of Panama City. Apart from a handful of small settlements, most of the islands are uninhabited. Since this is an illegal journey, interacting with people could bring misfortune to my adventure, I thought.
Maybe it's time to drink some coconut water.
Although I felt lonely sometimes, I enjoyed the life of Robinson Crusoe. But one day, I discovered a companion on the raft. At last, I wasn't alone. I named the little gecko Wilson. Although he was shy, now and then he came out to say hello to me. It's amazing what a great listening partner you can make out of a little creature. I spoke with Wilson for hours, just about anything that came to my mind.
Oh, shit. Come on.
For a few long minutes, I suffered a blackout. A breakdown on a rural road is bad enough, but the feeling of helplessness with a broken down motorcycle on the ocean is unimaginable. It took 9 hours to find the fault. An electronic sensor that triggered the ignition was broken. That wasn't a part you could repair, and I didn't have a spare either. I knew it would be a massive challenge to get anywhere with the help of wind alone. So far, I had tried to avoid people, but now I had to go looking for them to get help. For 2 whole days, I sailed back north to reach San Miguel, which is the largest settlement on the archipelago. When I finally got there, I was confronted by the police. But my luck was, those police officers had never seen a motorcycle rider going to Colombia on a self-built raft. The policemen helped me as if I were one of their own. They let me use their internet connection, and I left a message about my problem in Facebook. Within minutes, an American whom I had never met responded. When he told me that he could send me a spare part to Panama City, I was delighted. I then had time until the part arrived to look for someone to give me a lift back to Panama City. There was very little to do in San Miguel. Watching the masses of birds in a feeding frenzy became my favorite activity. Although the birds celebrated the low tide as they profited from it, I was living in fear. When the water receded, the raft rested its full weight on the keel and the rudders. I feared the wood might break under the weight of the raft. Hence, my frustration to be stranded in San Miguel grew day by day. But I found out I wasn't the only one who was stranded in San Miguel. Alberto, a 72-year-old Colombian who didn't seem to be in a good shape, told me that he feared for his life and had to flee Colombia 10 months ago. When he arrived in San Miguel, he fell victim to a robbery and lost his boat. Since then, he had been stuck in San Miguel and continues to live there, depending on the random kindness of the locals. I was quite ashamed of myself for thinking I had a problem.
I was out fishing with my brother and we ran out of beer. And when you're a fisherman, you can't run out of beer, at least when you fish with my brother. And so we went up to this island and the policeman called out to me because they know me on the island, knew I spoke English. And they're like, hey, we want you to talk to this guy that's here. And so they went and they got Dylan, who was inside one of the police quarters. You know, asked Dylan what's going on and if he needed anything. And anyway, I offered to help him. He says, yeah, I've got an apartment on this island, 12 miles north of here. Come with us, we'll help you. I helped him get an airplane back to Panama City and he was able to do his thing.
It's incredible how quickly help arrived whenever I was in need. With heartfelt gratitude, I picked up the much-needed spare part in Panama City. Now, all that needed to be done was to repair the engine and continue my journey. But when I got back to San Miguel, I had to do more repairs than expected.
Dagger board is broken and 2 rudders, and now I have the fun of repairing it. I have very limited amount of nuts and bolts. I hope I'll be able to repair it quickly and get going towards Colombia tomorrow.
But on the positive side, the police, who could have arrested me and confiscated my illegal raft, helped me repair it.
Trying to catch some fish. Got my fishing line here, but they don't want to bite. It's a nice sail. Actually, I mostly used it as a sunshade, not as a sail, because there wasn't much wind. So most of the time I was drifting, using that as my umbrella. Let's check our speed. We are doing neck-breaking 2.6 kilometers per hour, and our next destination is 109 kilometers, and it's 5:14 in the afternoon, and the elevation is 23 meters above sea level. Not bad. I didn't think my raft was that tall. And I got this thing here. That's my cruise control autopilot. This here. Because of the current, it doesn't always work perfectly. I have to steer it manually like that with the leg. And now I can just relax and hopefully wake up when I'm in Colombia.
Wir haben einmal, als er noch Empfang hatte, zusammen telefoniert und das war irgendwo in der Nähe von diesen Las Perlas-Inseln. Und dann mitten im Gespräch sagt er so, oh, jetzt überholt gerade eine Qualle mein Floß. Also man muss sich das mal vorstellen, so langsam war dieses Floß unterwegs. Und er hatte ja auch zu Beginn gedacht, er wird Kolumbien in 14 Tagen höchstens erreichen.
So there's potatoes for dinner. Yummy, yummy. Tomorrow I'm going to order a pizza. Hang on a minute. I have to quickly go and set the course so that we are going the right way. I had a small Swiss Army knife, but I don't know where it is. I hope nobody stole it. The last time I saw it was in the police station in San Miguel. Nah, but I don't think the police guys are quite nice. Lot of oil. Sailing with something like this is not very easy. You always have to keep an eye on everything. I had to put some water. Got some fresh water? And you can add 1/3 of seawater, so you don't need salt. Doing something like this gives you a lot of time to think. Think about what? I don't know. Think about all sorts of things. These are Pearl Islands of Panama. Amazing amount of currents find around these small islands. Sometimes you cannot go forward. You're stuck. Even with the motor and the wind, you just stand still. Oh, sometimes you go backwards. It's that bad. I'm learning still how to sail. Oh, you know what? We can boil an egg, because the eggs are going to go bad soon.
Wait a minute. You may be wondering where I got the balls from to run around almost naked in front of a camera like this. Well, this is what happens when you get your journey sponsored by an underwear company. No, frankly, I never ever thought one day this video material would become a film for everyone to see. But I do apologize for my taste of fashion.
2 eggs. Last night I thought I can just continue because the wind was good. Since the afternoon, and I was able to make good ground. But the problem was when I reached about 5 kilometers north of this island, the current was so strong and then the wind was kind of playing havoc. So I decided that I better head towards the island and find a refuge, place to stay the night. And when I got here, it was so strong. The current was really stronger than what I am capable of doing.
When you get outside of the Bay of Panama and you're more getting into open Pacific Ocean going towards Colombia, it gets very rough. There's a current that comes up from the Arctic here called the Humboldt Current, and it converges with a current that comes down from the north here in Panama, and it starts right about here, and it can create some chaos. The waves are strong and furious, and there have been deaths. It's been, there was a whole soccer team. They were coming from one village to play soccer in Hake, and the boat tipped over and the whole soccer team was lost. Bodies were not even found because the currents and the waves are so strong.
The first sight of these gigantic swells made my hair stand on end. And I asked myself, what on earth was I thinking, getting on a small raft to challenge the forces of nature? But these were only momentary anxieties, as the size of the Pacific made me realize how insignificant I was compared to the universe. Moments later, all my anxieties were blown away as I scanned the island. I could see plenty of bananas and coconut trees. Forget the universe. I want bananas. So I turned around and headed straight back towards Galera.
So I'm trying to get onto the island because I see coconut and bananas. How about that? If I can get some bananas to take along the way, that would be brilliant.
There are a lot of sharks. It may look harmless, but the waves and currents around Galera were too strong for a safe landing with my dinghy. But my idea of leaving the island behind didn't quite work out the way I had hoped. Once I had gained a few hundred meters distance from the island, I saw Galera suddenly overtaking me. I was caught up in a strong current, and it took me towards the open Pacific Ocean. For a few hours, I fought hard against the current, just to realize that I was only burning up valuable fuel. So I turned off the engine and comforted myself with pep talks. Later, even the mountains of the mainland that were visible on the horizon disappeared completely. My GPS device had become unreliable. Instead of guiding me in one direction, it had decided to take me in circles.
So I got bad news here because I thought I saw land where I'm supposed to be heading, and the compass confirmed it, and the GPS says no. Now I have been trying to test which one is lying to me. I would have said the compass is the most reliable. In this case, it's not. Oh, this is a very bad situation. This is the compass that I have, and it shows me north with the red pointer, but the GPS shows me in the opposite direction. I don't know what the hell's wrong with this thing.
Since the raft was made of metal barrels, and the fact that the motorcycle had strong magnetic components, the compass also gave erratic readings, depending on where I stood on the raft. By the time I learned of all the technical flaws, the raft had drifted far too far into the ocean. Not only that, the cloudy sky made it impossible to navigate by the sun. I was now floating blind, lost in a liquid desert.
No wind. I've been drifting like this now for 2 days. It's quite frustrating, really. And I don't know if I'm going to make it to Colombia. Probably I'm going to go to Ecuador, Galapagos. That's where this current is taking me. A little bit worried that the chances of me drifting towards Galapagos is very high right now. I'm not really worried, but that's not my destination. I've been trying to fish, but haven't been very lucky so far. Nothing at all. And this is the last bait that I have. I'm going to try this. I'm in the real deep water now. It's a plastic thing made in China. I don't know if that is the problem.
I'm not only a bad sailor, I'm also a hopeless fisherman. But you have to see the positive side of things. I was very happy about how calm the Pacific Ocean was.
So it's raining, as I expected. Well, it's part of the adventure.
the ocean current continued to carry me further into the deep Pacific. I restrained myself from attempting to drive in the direction where I thought land was, because I knew that another navigational error would only leave me standing without fuel.
Irgendwann denkst du dann schon so, hey, was mache ich, wenn ich nie mehr etwas von ihm höre? Weil, ich meine, dieser Pazifik ist riesig und wenn er da einfach verloren geht, ja, er hatte ja auch kein Satellitentelefon dabei, also absichtlich nicht, weil er gesagt hat, ich will nicht, dass sich andere Menschen in Gefahr bringen müssen, wenn mir etwas passiert. Was ich einerseits verstand und andererseits überhaupt nicht, weil ich hatte ja mich mit all diesen Gefühlen und mit der Angst, diesen Menschen, den du liebst, einfach nie mehr zu sehen, wenn er da verschollen ist auf diesem Ozean. Und das war schon sehr schwierig. Und ich weiß noch, ich hatte so einen Kugelschreiber von ihm, der war irgendwie beim letzten Besuch bei mir in dem Gepäck gelandet. Und ich hielt mich so an dem fest und wollte den ja nicht verlieren, weil ich wirklich so dachte, hey, das ist vielleicht das Letzte, was mir von diesem Menschen bleibt.
In the middle of the ocean, we have a bird floating. Hey, buddy, you also lost on your raft. There he goes. At least he got wings.
It felt like months since I had seen a human face. I felt lonely. Wilson, my companion, had been missing since I had left San Miguel. At night, I looked out for lights, and I spent the day watching for other boats. I saw nothing. Nothing but water that far away converged with the sky.
So, it's been another kind of a scary and frustrating day.
Of the many ships and boats that traverse the Panama Canal, I did not see a single one. According to my GPS coordinates, I was now 120 kilometers off the coastline. Judging by the path that I was drifting, I was heading straight towards the Galapagos Islands, which were 1,600 kilometers away. The police commander in San Miguel had told me about a fishing boat with an engine failure that had drifted to Galapagos 5 months earlier. Out of 5 fishermen, only 1 had survived. I still had around 100 liters of fresh water and enough food to get by for at least a month. But it only needed a deviation of 11 degrees to drift past the Galapagos Islands altogether. I needed help. I needed it very fast.
Hello, boys. Hello.
I think this is fantastic. Don't you? Somewhere else, you have to pay for this. I got a free show.
It took a while to sink in what I was actually experiencing. But it was exactly that a man who was lost at sea needed. A visit by a pod of dolphins.
Thank you.
It looked like they were happy to find me. If only they knew how happy I was to see them.
I have no idea if that is a shark or a dolphin. I was thinking of taking a swim. I'm not so sure now. There are dolphins here. Woohoo! That definitely is a shark. Woohoo! Hey guys! Hello! Hello! How are you doing? Hey! This is lovely. These are dolphins, and that's a shark there. I don't know what kind of a shark it is, but it's a big one.
Out of nowhere came the dolphins, and they swam between the shark and the raft. But that wasn't the last time I saw the beautiful creatures. Hey guys! Look at these dolphins! I think they're checking out my boat. Yoo-hoo! Yoo-hoo! Great, isn't it? The next day, I was over the moon when they revisited me. Not just once, they came to my raft again and again. Did they sense that I did not belong there, so far away from land? Could it be that they were trying to tell me something? The root cause of my problem was my inability to sail in one direction. I found out that my GPS needed a minimum speed of 8 kilometers per hour for it to work reliably. But sailing against the strong ocean currents with my slow raft made my GPS unusable. I simply needed someone to guide me. So when the dolphins came back the next time, I started the engine.
I've studied dolphins for many years, and I know that they have a special cell in their brain that is only found in creatures that have a highly developed social structure to their lives. So whales and dolphins, ourselves and elephants. And that cell gives them the feeling of empathy and compassion, so they will actually go out and they will help other species that are in distress. I think that the dolphins were probably attracted to the raft, thinking that there was food underneath it. But when they got closer, they would have seen Dylan, this very strange creature, way out at sea where he shouldn't be, and they would have picked up on his distress and his anxiety.
To this day, I cannot tell whether the dolphins understood the outcome of their action. But the fact is, thanks to those wonderful creatures, I am still alive today. They escorted me for 2 whole days. On the third morning when I woke up, they were no longer there. But in the far distance, I saw the coastline of Panama for the first time after 10 days. How can I possibly describe the feeling of seeing land again after all what had happened? Judging by our movement, I gathered that the courage of Bridget was now on another current that went straight back towards land. But that excitement of reaching land didn't last long.
Petrol pump doesn't work, or the fuel pump. And I'm quite close to these cliffs, and I hope that I'm not going to get dragged into those cliffs and get smashed. And I can't maneuver the raft without wind, and there seems to be nobody around. And these waves are pushing the raft towards the cliffs. And I can't anchor because it's so deep here. I'm being tested here. Yeah, I got a problem. I have a problem. My motor doesn't work. Huh? No compañero, solo. Sí, solo. Are you going to Garachine? Can you take me to Garachine? And now, the latest trouble, the starter motor. I had a problem yesterday with the fuel pump, and after repairing that, I have this problem now. And the starter motor doesn't respond at all. The danger in working like this is that I have to be very careful that I'm not going to drop anything into the water here. Hola, amigos. Huh? Cocina? What does that mean? No español. Oh, you have fish. Whoa. What is it? Is it a tuna? You want to give me this? Really? Okay. Gracias. Muchas gracias. I got a tuna for lunch. Not bad, eh? Un problema con motor. No funcionar. Gracias. Gracias, amigos. Tschüss.
I spent 2 full days in the Bay of Garachine. I also took time to find an answer to an important question. Should I give up? Or should I continue? The next road connection in Colombia was still 400 kilometers away. Ever since I started this journey across the Pacific, I had no more than 2 hours of sleep at a stretch. the continuous wrestling with the elements made me extremely tired. And there were no answers to more pragmatic questions either. Where would I find food, fresh water, and fuel?
I need more bread.
Since there was no favorable wind for sailing, I would have to rely solely on the motorcycle engine. That meant finding hundreds of liters of fuel. All I knew was that the Darien jungle would continue for another 300 or 400 kilometers.
Ich habe nach 2,5 Wochen, als er in Garacine angekommen ist, zum ersten Mal wieder von ihm gehört und war natürlich extrem froh zu wissen, dass er noch am Leben ist. Und habe da natürlich auch von den ganzen Problemen erfahren und dass das Motorrad immer wieder kaputt war, dass er nicht wusste, wo er Benzin herbekommen sollte für den Rest der Reise und dass er sich überlegt, ob er das Ganze abbrechen soll. Ich hatte dann natürlich schon die Hoffnung, dass er es aufgibt, weil ich natürlich Angst hatte, wenn er noch weitermacht. Und damals kannte ich ihn noch nicht so gut. Heute weiß ich, dass es bei Dylan kein letztes Mal gibt. Also das heißt, wenn etwas nicht repariert werden kann, dann gibt es einfach noch ein letztes Mal und noch ein letztes Mal, bis das Ding wieder funktioniert.
To sail back to Panama City would be a much easier task. But from the experiences I had made so far, I learned that I would find solutions to my problems when they arose. This journey had been about seeing and learning new things, making experiences, and getting to know a world that was utterly foreign to me. And most of all, I was immensely enjoying the ocean. So I refused to listen to the rational man in me who created fear in my mind and decided to press on towards Colombia. I came across a couple of indigenous villages, but as much as I wanted to visit them, they were not accessible because of large breaking waves. Loneliness is the hardest, not when you're alone, but when you see people and can't reach them. And then I arrived at a place called Piña Bay. I was told by a local that there is a fishing resort, and according to him, they had everything. He also told me that the resort didn't welcome spontaneous visitors. I urgently needed fuel. So I anchored the raft in the bay and pondered about what to do next.
Hola. I think he's faster than me. I don't think I can go that fast on my super raft.
The hope of finding fuel overcame my doubts, and I visited the fishing resort. I had been worrying for nothing. Everyone at the resort gave me a warm welcome. They told me that I could stay there as long as I want. During my stay, I did all the necessary repairs on the raft. And I also managed to help them with some electrical problems, which they had been having for a few months. Out of gratitude, they filled up all my fuel canisters.
Muchas gracias, amigos. Thank you so much for everything. Oh no! I don't believe this. This could be the most important delivery that I ever received.
I admit, I have been extremely lucky in many occasions in this journey. But it wasn't just luck that brought me so far. I worked hard to find creative solutions to my problems. And the undying optimism, obstinate determination, and the newly learned patience kept me going. Being close to this nature that was completely new to me overwhelmed me again and again.
These are pilot whales. I got a passenger. I guess he's looking for a place to spend the night. This is crazy.
It didn't take long for the ocean to turn rough. We were tossed up and down by the waves, which seemed to hit us from all sides. I tried to drive away my fears by forcing myself to sleep. Or better said, I tried to numb my mind somehow. When nothing seemed to work, I drew pictures of the loved ones in my head, and I told them how much I loved them. Memories from the distant past were flashing before my eyes, and eventually, the power of imagination drowned out the thunders. And when the light of the new day woke me up, I saw the beauty of this world with new eyes. There is nothing else in this world that is as great as life. After going through a storm on the ocean, things could only get better, I thought. But then, I saw the engine spitting oil onto the deck.
I guess I have to get that repaired very quickly, otherwise the engine's going to break down. This is unbelievable. The problem is I don't have anything to repair it with.
The oil leak from the broken side glass was serious enough to cause a total engine failure. Still more than 300 kilometers to reach my destination, I knew that there is only one more thing to be done: to find a place to land the raft before disaster strikes. I constantly scanned the coastline, searching for a landing possibility. And every time I spotted a place, I was disappointed after getting there. In my desperation, I even started envying the pelicans, for they glided so effortlessly to wherever it pleased them.
I finally found a place to anchor my raft yesterday. So here I am in this pretty picturesque village of Ardita in Colombia. So I managed to cross over to Colombia. I'm spending my last night, I would say. Tomorrow I want to take the bike out. And I'm finding it difficult to talk. Because although it was tough, I had a fantastic time. It must have been the toughest few weeks of my life, but also the most beautiful time of my life. And now this amazing journey is over. I'm sad. I'm very sad.
until Ardita, Bruce, the courage of Bridget, and I were inseparable. There were tears, there were pains and fears. But the happiness, the joy and wonders we encountered on this journey were much greater. It broke my heart to leave the courage of Bridget on the sandy beach at Ardita. If I had to name one thing that has influenced my life in a profound way, then it is this journey on the raft. That's why I had to return to Ardita after 4 years just to see my raft for one last time. I went around the world looking for answers to the meaning of life. It took me well beyond my comfort zone, and there was something to learn from each encounter. The biggest lessons I learned were to not let yourself be dictated by fears and not to shy away from living your passion. I learned how important it is to appreciate the little things in life and how having a positive attitude can change the most hopeless situations. Most importantly, I learned about wonders. You can only experience wonders when you try the impossible. When the road ends, you can build your own raft. You simply need to have the courage, and the universe will see to that you will reach your destination. Hi there. I really hope you enjoyed watching this very special story and that it inspired you. If you want to know more about these stories, you could read my book, When the Road Ends. And if you would like to support my film, you will find the links and details in the video description down below. Don't forget to like this video, subscribe my channel so that you might be able to find some cool videos in the future. And also, don't forget to comment how you feel. But most of all, when it is needed, don't be afraid to build your own raft. Bye for now.